So here I am out fishing on Fort Peck Reservoir. I was targeting lake trout. This is my first time targeting lake trout to the ice. I was intending on getting out onto Fort Peck at like 6 or 7 in the morning on this day, but I forgot to set an alarm and I didn't get up till like 9:30, and I didn't get to Fort Peck until like 1, and so I didn't get out fishing till like 1 p.m. that day because Fort Peck is a little over a 2 hour drive from where I live. And I asked the bait shop Lake Ridge where to fish, where I could walk out from shore because I don't have an ATV for lake trout. So they told me this spot. So I went out there. I was jigged around for probably an hour and a half, and I only had a couple marks. And I was jigging with rattle rattle baits. I was just using bass rattle baits and spoons and plastics on a jig head. And here I was jigging with a chartreuse and white swim bait on a cheap jig head. I just had on a lead head jig. Next time I go back, if the ice continues to be safe, I will be using some heavier duty jig hooks. And this rod I actually only had 6 pound mono on, so that also didn't help me landing this fish. So I hooked up with this fish and fought it for a long time. And I think after like 8 or 9 minutes of fighting it, I finally get it up by the hole. And then I got it up by the hole, and this happens. And I lost the fish right at the hole. And then after this, I think I put 30 pound braid onto this rod also, hooked it, tied up to some 20 pound monoliter leader not to mess around so I could have a lot of pull in with the fish. And I had started out jigging this day in like 70 feet of water, and I fished between 40 and 70 feet of water. And right at dark, the fish seemed to move up into the hump in like 40 feet of water. So the next morning, I started off fishing where I was marking fish right before dark the night before. And after about 15 minutes of fishing, I hooked up with a regular size flutter spoon that was like 3 1/4 or 3 3/4 inches, like you'd use for trolling with, and I was jigging with it, and this laker just hammered it. Also, I should have double drilled my holes so the fish were easier to pull through the holes. And these are definitely the best fighting fish that I have hooked into while ice fishing. That you'll literally pull them up to the surface, and then all of a sudden they'll just go right back down to bottom. They were just an epic fight, and they don't seem to tire out. So they were a lot of fun to fish for, and I'll definitely be back fishing for them again. Here, I'm finally able to get the lake trout up to the hole, and after I fought it up and down a few times, this was like a 7 or 8 minute fight of videotaping of me recording. So this is after fighting it for a while. They literally about really tire your wrist off because it's just like a constant force of them trying to pull themselves right back down to bottom and go around, and they'll actually come up like 20 or 30 feet off bottom and just hammer your bait. They're pretty epic fish to ice fish for, and you can watch them on your Vexlar, or Helix unit or whatever ice fishing unit you're ice fishing with. So here I finally get this through the ice. And this fish was 31 inches and 12 pounds. And it's very, and I smoked up some of it, and it's very greasy. But that'll happen with these fish. And I'm sorry, I didn't have the volume on my camera. So here's some more video. There's nothing big caught here. This is at my action spot I go to where I've been catching panfish and northerns. There's a lot of action on my flasher. I caught one bluegill. I caught another bluegill. I was using a little, I think white jig or white and blue jig tipped with a wax worm. And I was using my schoolie spring bobber rod. And this day I was out fishing. It was like 5 below out. And the bluegills were literally biting as soon as I dropped my jig down the hole. And I got to the point where I quit jigging for bluegills because I was catching so many. I caught way more than I have on video. Because it was cold and I didn't give very much effort. But I just went out for a little while after work and I had a lot of good action this night, which was fun. Hopefully I'll be out. This is my ice fishing over the last week. Hopefully I'll be out ice fishing this week and I'll hopefully have some good video. We'll see what I catch. That'll be it for this video.